I think sort of the philosophy behind badging can sort of be carried anywhere. You know, that idea of having a digital portfolio that backs up your work. So instead of just going to an employer with a page resume that says, oh yeah, I can do PowerPoint and Excel and Second Life, and just listing those things, you can bring, you know, a link to your website that has all of these projects you've actually created, documented. So a lot of it too is sort of documenting your learning and really valuing experiential learning, and hopefully, you know, with more digital resumes like Visualize Me, employers will start really recognizing badges.
One of the questions I had too is, it sounds like Mozilla is starting to work on this backpack that you can put all your badges on, but then it sounded like you said you had some over at Khan Academy. Is there like a central spot you can drop all your badges, or maybe you have to have a website and then you can drop all your badges on that? Are they just kind of scattered all over the place?
Mozilla is actually taking the lead right now. Their digital backpack is going to be sort of the established repository for all the badges on the internet, hopefully. It's open source, so anyone can take their code. I mean, if you're a programmer, you can go in today, right now, and take their code and create your own badge system. So they're really starting to like solidify that badge system for everyone, and then you'd be able, as an issuer, to push the badges you've created into that backpack. Since it's still in beta, you know, there are places like Khan right now who aren't linked up to the digital backpack. Hopefully they eventually will be. There's some big names, like I said, Global Kids, Open Textbook, University of Michigan, Madison, BYU, Duke, University of Miami, MIT, who are all looking at the Mozilla badge system. So it will be pretty widely adapted.
And you know, I'm just thinking about the professional development too, but with, I mean, I think that state's probably, how am I trying to say this? You have to have so many credits probably at the state for CEUs. So do they accept badges, or I wouldn't think that's certified?
Again, badges are sort of new right now, so they're not necessarily, you know, doing a 1-for-1 credit ratio, but I think you could certainly make a case for saying, you know, I did all of these workshops, and even if you go to a workshop and get a certificate, you could also still get a badge for some of those skills that you've completed there. And the advantage to badges is that you can publish those like on Facebook or social media website, or even your school website. So if parents want to see what kind of teacher you are, they can see all the projects that you've created in the past.
We were talking about the idea of just using it for community service, for recognizing kids that go above and beyond in terms of community service, or what else did we say on there?
The gifted students. The gifted students, and how it could be used to recognize gifted children. And what I really like the idea that it could be used to recognize even those students that needed extra help and weren't doing as great in the class as everyone else was, but they put in the extra time and energy to do more work than was required in order to get themselves up to the, you know, to the same level that they needed to be at. It could be used to recognize those kids, even, you know, it's not always about who's doing better than other students necessarily. It's about the amount of time and energy that they're putting in, the effort and the motivation. So it could be used to recognize those students as well.
There could be a negative side to this badging. I was thinking about, you know, if it creates such a competitive atmosphere in a class or school where kids feel badly that, you know, their friends have more badges than they do. You know, I wonder if that could just be a negative kind of possibility coming from this. You know, if a kid isn't quite as ambitious as another, or maybe it'll spur more ambition and more effort, but it might also make kids feel a little, you know, they don't have the number of badges that the other kid
Like
does.
Amy had said, kids are often very hard on each other also, so it's something that we'd definitely have to monitor well and closely.
But like Eileen just mentioned, she said that you can give different types of badges. So like kind of going back to the whole a badge ceremony at the end of the year, maybe if you give everyone a badge for something. I mean, I'm sure in a classroom everyone has some sort of a trait or a characteristic or something they've done over the course of the year that could be recognized. I think that could be beneficial in kind of including everyone, and not pointing out a couple of people.
Yeah, but I think if you give a kid a badge for something that's fairly insignificant, doesn't that diminish the whole concept of badging? Gee, I think I'm being a little too negative here, but it's so new. As I told my teammates here, I've got to digest
Ralph,
this.
like you just mentioned how the competitiveness of this and it might give somebody a negative thought. I think it'll promote the whole. It'll change the mentality of how we tend to associate a good student with the good grades or good numbers as far as tests are concerned. But it could promote the whole idea of it's not all about the tests all the time. Other things that make a person a good student or a positive member of a classroom or a community. I think it kind of promotes that idea.
Right, and what they're learning from it too. I mean, this is a great way to document their life skill learning also in class.
A couple ways. One, badges, especially, in the adult, air quotes, digital badge world, have direct links to what someone did. So you can't really get a badge without evidence of what you did. So when you click on the badge, it shows a website, or it shows programming code that you've done, or it shows a YouTube video of you doing that particular skill, activity, or expressed learning. So that way, even if you're getting a badge from your best friend, they still have to say, yeah, but here's the example of where you actually did that. Of course, it could be falsified, and you could make the argument that someone else did the YouTube video, but that's true for most things on the internet. The second level of that peer-to-peer review is that there's still going to be a badge moderator in most of these systems, or enough peers where it becomes like a huge system, so you're getting 20 people to like you and recommend you for a badge instead of one or two. So it's that crowdsourcing aspect. And then badge moderator. So, hopefully before a student in your classroom got a badge officially, you would sort of check that peer-to-peer relationship, make sure they really did the work. And that's sort of the system we're looking at Empire, where, badges can be recommended between peers, but we're still doing that final layer of verification to say, yeah, they earned that badge. I think some of it is sort of ingraining in them the value of assessment and badges, which of course is hard when something is new. But those skills can be taught over time. And if you're implementing it with a series of teachers, so maybe everyone in your science department does it, so every year, they're sort of building on this peer assessment. They start out really small. You pay really close attention. When they're in 9th grade, they can earn, 2 badges the whole year. And you pay really close attention to moderating those comments and making sure that what they're assessing is really on level there. You can start to build that system to when they're seniors. You can sort of step back a little and really let that peer-to-peer assessment happen. And also, you're not necessarily tying the badges to grades, so it's okay a little bit if they don't have as much value as a grade. They're going to be a motivational tool and sort of that meta state where they're thinking about how to assess what they're doing. And then, of course, you're being a badge moderator this whole time, but, I was an English teacher, and you're constantly having students read each other's research papers, and you guys probably are doing it in labs too, and there's no system in most cases to teach students how to look at other people's research papers, or labs, or group work. There's absolutely no system right now. So hopefully badges will at least be better than the zero system there is now. But yeah, a real concern right now is that how valid is something going to be if it's peer-to-peer?